Yeah, so get on the desk on the left side. If you need translations to Portuguese or to English. Se você não fala inglês, pode pegar uma aparelho.
Pro Brasil andar pra frente, vamos caminhar. Seja o elo da corrente, vamos caminhar. O povo quer, o povo decide, o povo diz. Nós queremos Lula andando livre do país. Vai! Pro Brasil andar pra frente, vamos caminhar. Seja o elo da corrente, vamos caminhar. O povo quer, o povo decide, o povo diz. Nós queremos Lula andando livre do país. Ele une o país, semeando amor. Esse povo tão sofrido, trabalhador. A sua meta é ver o povo com igualdade, alimento, moradia, vaga na universidade. Pro Brasil andar pra frente, vamos caminhar. Esse é o elo da corrente, vamos caminhar. O povo quer, o povo decide, o povo diz. Nós queremos Lula no livre do país.
Eu não pararei porque eu não sou mais um ser humano. Eu sou uma ideia misturada com a ideia de vocês.
On the 1st of July.
Quem leva na alma coragem.
My name is Miriam. I'm one of the members of the Popular Committee for New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania, which starts today the official work for the campaign, for the pre-campaign. And so we have prepared to start a mystic moment to start. We would like to, as we prepare, as we call for the president of Lula, we try to bring here as immigrants that nowadays the world and the country is still very dangerous for immigrants, as immigrants are violated in the borders. And so this moment of deep sadness, as we have lost people at the borders of Mexico and Spain, we would like to honor with a moment of silence the lives that have been lost. So people that are victims of imperialism and capital around the country, and people that have lost their lives in other countries as well. We will also remember on the screen many of the activists like us that have been indigenous activists or black activists that have been a target for fascism in Brazil, that since the 2016 coup d'etat in Brazil have died. And many of them are here, and they're not all of these, but many of them are here. So please watch these images just so we remember them. The last ones that have also died during the Bolsonaro government. Okay. Thank you, everyone. And now we want to say welcome. Be welcome, everybody. I would like to thank everybody to our house, the People's Forum. So thank you for all. Thanks for the space for this revolutionary struggle here in New York City. So I'd like to call People's Forum to speak and welcome everybody. She's coming, Mary. Right there. Thank you from the People's Forum.
Thank you all so much for coming.
Obrigada a todos por estarem aqui.
Happy to have you here.
Estamos muito
And yeah, I hope everything goes well tonight. And solidarity with the people of Brazil. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bem, gente, hoje a gente está muito feliz de estar
we're very happy to be launching the Popular Committee of New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania. First, I have to explain why we have the 3 states in the name. So now we are calculating that we have about 2 million people, especially in the East Coast. However, we don't have very good access to vote here, because then our vote is very restricted here. Just so you know, we only have 2 ballot boxes in Manhattan, in the Upper East Side, where people from 3 states will have to come to vote. That's why we have created our committee with the names of the 3 states, so that we can win in New York for Lula, so that we have the majority of the votes in these elections. So that's why our name is this. And also to say that we started working long ago. For the struggle now, we're preparing for the electoral campaign that starts in August. We have been together for about a year and a half, many people who are here. First, starting to register people to vote, to get the numbers of people who vote here not very good in the US. In 2018, only 52,000 people voted from thousands and thousands of Brazilians who live here. And in New York, Bolsonaro got 60% of the vote. And in Florida, 90% of the vote. And we have a community that is very tied to the influencers of the extreme right in Brazil. So today we have created a program. We brought a bunch of videos from people that will come and help and salute and talk about the importance of the elections of this year, 2022. And so thank you, everyone. And so the first video that you want to bring to us is very special for the activists in New York, particularly the people who come to People's Forum. In 2019, in April, as we were trying to free Lula, and he completed a year in prison, we have been received here at the People's Forum with a wonderful program. It was a historic, we had a full house for that, with a lot of activists, to demand the freedom of Lula. And People's Forum has presented us with this video, with this gift that we will see now, that was prepared from somebody that is very dear to us, Mumia Abu Jamal, who has been in prison, who is one of the most important political prisoners since 1972. And it's very hard for us to think every day that he's been arrested, 1982, excuse me. And he's been accompanying the struggle of people outside. And he prepared this for us in 2019. So I would like to thank for the video that he has done for Lula.
Lula, Lula Libre. His name is Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, but to millions of Brazilians, he's known simply as Lula, the former president of Brazil. In October 2018, he was poised to run again for the presidency, but to do so was opposed by the nation's rich, pale elites. A wave of anti-democratic neoliberalism has swept through elite circles in Brazil, and it has unleashed mass enmity against workers, the poor, black folks, and LGBTQ people. In some ways, this was seen in the right-wing attack and assassination of Marielle Franco, a popular black and gay city councilwoman from Rio de Janeiro. While her alleged killers were identified as two former cops, the questions of who sent them and why hovers over Rio. Lula, who, as a former union leader, had tremendous influence over labor unions, which in turn voted in his support and the Workers' Party. He's charged with alleged money transfers that were illegal, and his political base seemed to be the real target, especially when he planned to run for another term. Neoliberalism, despite how it sounds, is really the state's complete submission to the domination of finance capital. This Brazil, under an autocratic leader, Jair Bolsonaro, is open about his contempt for blacks, the poor, workers, and gay folk. And he's tried to bend the judiciary to his will, jailing Lula, denying his attempts to run for another term, and denying appeal bail. Supporters of Lula have demonstrated and marched for him, including the MST, known as the Landless Rural Workers Movement, and the collective known as the Free Lula Committee, which has demanded his immediate release. Internationally known scholars and intellectuals like Angela Davis, Noam Chomsky, Tariq Ali, and even Nobel Prize winners have joined the call to free Lula. I stand with Lula, a union man, a workers' man, and someone who stands for the dispossessed of Brazil. It is a struggle from the bottom to the top, a struggle for human rights over capitalist rights and property rights. Free Lula. From imprisoned nation, this is Mumia Abu Jamal.
Free Mumia. It's very touching. Wasn't it very nice that he prepared this for us in 2019? So we will start our journey today. We're inviting you for this as a celebration of the launch of the committee, as well as to learn and to think together with other people who speak today via video and also here. So first, I'd like to say that this committee, that we are very proud to be here. And I'd like to send my hugs to everybody, all the activists who are here. And this is a bigger struggle. It's part of a bigger struggle that will try to mobilize all the immigrants in the US. This started last year, and people that are committed to this struggle will talk tonight, but we started last year with activists from many states when we saw that we needed to get into the ballot here, like to win in the ballots here. As we see that many people still do not vote or do not register, also because in Brazil, the first ones that are read in Brazil, or the first ballots, are from abroad. And if we see that if people in Brazil see that Lula won here, that would be a great victory already. And so we started to fight last year, and the group of collectives that are also in Boston, in Austin, and in Florida, in Washington, in Los Angeles, and that are spread all over the country. and in Connecticut as well. And so we are groups and individuals who are connected with a movement called Vote Brazil and the US and NDB, which is the US network in Brazil, who will have, which will be, there will be somebody speaking for the network today. So a year and a half ago, we started a digital campaign and also in person. And we all still have our flyer here asking people to vote, to register to vote. And also we together wrote a letter that will be sent to all the pre-candidates, which are the people who are running for the elections in Brazil. And so we have already handed this over to Lula and from all the immigrants in Brazil. So I invite all the immigrants to really pay attention. To pay attention to this letter that was prepared by our movement. So I'd like to call Toya up from the Popular Committee, as well as Ilian, who will read the letter, which is very important for us to reflect upon what is to be an immigrant and to be politically involved, and the requests that were sent to Lula if he becomes president. Ladies and gentlemen, the economic crisis that is current in our country in the last 5 years, which has been worsened during the pandemic of COVID-19, has caused a largest amount of Brazilians who have tried to enter the US without documents and work permits. According to the immigration data, 58,000 people coming from Brazil were arrested at the borders in 2021, which is 534% larger than 2020, when there were 9,000 people arrested. The current estimate is that there is 1,700,000 Brazilians living in the US in general, without considering their legal situation, their legal documentation. And the goal is that this letter that has been written by Brazilians is to alert the pre-candidates to presidency of Brazil to the necessity of proposing policies that are clear to deal with the problems that immigrants from citizens of Brazil that live abroad have. And there are several questions, several issues, including the ideas of people who are in organized crime who exploit the ones that need to migrate, including the other situations of vulnerability, also to support the community, and third, also to have policies that receive people and support them if they're return as a result of deportation. And so what follows is just a number of measures or initiatives that could be put into effect to avoid one of these questions or these issues without being, covering everything, but observing emphatically that what we would expect from each pre-candidate, that they could open a dialogue with Brazilian communities outside the country to understand their needs and demands and to respond concretely with concrete proposals included in their program, the government programs, in case they are, in fact, elected presidents in the next October elections. Although this comes from Brazilians that are living in the US, we believe that all this represent Brazilians in general abroad. And in terms of the first issues, there are several measures that Brazilian government could adopt to support people who have taken a decision to leave the country, which is a right of all individuals and families. One is to create strategies and find an international agreement to validate the documents, to fight the organized crime that exploit people that decide to immigrate, And also as a general doctrine of diplomacy, the unconditional defense of human rights of people that are migrants all over the world, still that people can be temporarily without documents according to the laws of the country or this country or that country, that no human being is illegal wherever they are in the planet. So Brazil cannot tolerate the separation of families in the borders and who are in prison, who have been put in cages, that have been transported with their hands tied, and all kinds of barbarities that they are subject to when they decide to immigrate. And in relation to communities in Brazilian communities in abroad, to debureaucratize the acquisition of a passport or a voter's registration card or transferring it, and also to respect the rights of the democratic participation of people who reside in the abroad by way of getting the electoral sessions broader for general use of electronic vote and of the possibility of the mail voting by mail. Also to value and create mechanisms to contribute that the contribution of economic contribution of immigrants to their families and other people that are relevant to them in their original regions. And as the support for people who have been deported, to articulate with SEBRAE and other institutions the return of people who have been deported with education, financial education and cooperativism. And also to establish an interministry, interdepartments commission to help revalidate their diplomas that I have obtained abroad in Brazil, to validate that, and also to develop other programs that give support, social and psychological support to people who have been deported. Lastly, a general measure in partnership with universities, both Brazilian and abroad, to create and develop programs and research centers that are specialized in the preservation of memory, study of history, in knowledge, detailed knowledge of experiences of the immigrants, including to support policies, public policies in the area. In short, we also reaffirm the general principle that our expectation is that the next president will be available to develop a democratic process and participative process next to immigrants and to people who have been deported, in a way that they can build public policies that are pertinent and that can contemplate the fact of these needs next to Brazilians and Brazil. And we're expecting also so we also hope that the Brazilian future, the government will be part interruptedly of this building. And now we have a special invitee that is there, and that we have to say that many Brazilians organize in popular committees to elect the candidate of the Workers' Party. So now we're going to call from Belo Horizonte, Romério Pereira, who is the General Secretary of the International Relations of the Workers' Party. And that's okay. And so now we want to invite him to talk.
Primeiro, eu quero cumprimentar a todas as pessoas. Boa noite, estão me ouvindo?
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Eu quero cumprimentar a todos e a todas que estão agora nos assistindo. Eu sou Romênio Pereira, secretário de Relações Internacionais do PT e um dos acompanhantes que está acompanhando as eleições em vários estados pelo Brasil. Eu primeiro queria rapidamente dizer da alegria de poder participar dessa atividade. Quero, em nome da Jana, cumprimentar a todas e a todos e dizer para vocês, as eleições no Brasil é um momento muito especial, não só para o Brasil, para a América Latina, mas para todo mundo. Eu estou vindo de uma viagem que cheguei hoje de Londres, onde tive atividades com o parlamento londrino, do Reino Unido, com o governo, e há uma expectativa muito grande do resultado que nós vamos obter esse ano no Brasil. Eu acredito que é um momento que todos os brasileiros e as brasileiras que moram fora do nosso país devem acompanhar o processo eleitoral que acontece esse ano. Nós estamos a 90 dias das eleições do primeiro turno. Há uma tendência da gente obter uma vitória eleitoral nas eleições de outubro. E por que nós estamos buscando esse movimento tão grande, tanto a nível do Brasil, como buscando relações internacionais? O Brasil vive um dos seus momentos mais tristes, com fome, chegando à casa de quase 35 milhões de pessoas, 10 milhões de desempregados. Nós estamos vendo um ataque muito forte na educação, na saúde, nos direitos das minorias do nosso país. Infelizmente, estamos vendo a cada dia agressões contra mulheres e muitas movidas pelo armamento que o nosso país vive nesse momento. Um ataque violento ao meio ambiente. E quero dizer para vocês, nós temos um presidente da República que não tem amigos internacionais e precisamos buscar, junto com os parceiros democráticos do mundo, uma relação muito forte internacional. E o presidente Lula já foi reconhecido internacionalmente nos seus 8 anos de governo. E mesmo agora, depois da sua saída da prisão, injustamente, tem sido recebido por lideranças internacionais de todo o mundo. E o momento nos exige muito que a gente busque conversar com todos os brasileiros e brasileiras que moram fora do país. Por quê? Porque é um momento que nós precisamos aproximar quem está aqui hoje sofrendo consequências muito fortes de um governo que não tem compromisso com a democracia e principalmente com a população mais pobre. E eu quero aproveitar para ler para vocês um texto de um documento que foi aprovado nos diretrizes de programa de governo. No governo, nosso governo vai defender direitos de brasileiras e brasileiros, também no exterior. São milhões de pessoas que trabalham, estudam e vivem fora do país e contribuem para a economia e o desenvolvimento do Brasil. Retomaremos e ampliaremos as políticas públicas para a população brasileira no exterior e seus direitos de cidadanias a partir de acordos bilaterais, em condições para o reconhecimento de direitos e uma vida melhor para as populações migrantes. Então, eu quero reforçar aqui, nesse momento, eu estou aqui acompanhado de um dos nossos principais assessores, o Michel, que vai ser um dos responsáveis pelos comitês populares Lula 2022. Vocês sabem que o registro da candidatura do presidente Lula deve se dar dia 21 de julho, e a partir daí nós vamos começar, de uma certa forma, mais organizado, já com o registro da candidatura, a organizar comitês populares que já estão fazendo no Brasil, mas isso vai ser ampliado em praticamente todas as cidades do Brasil. E o que é o convite que eu queria fazer a vocês? Vocês que vivem muito distante da realidade que nós estamos vivendo aqui, mas vocês têm amigos, amigas, têm parentes, pessoas que vocês amam e deixaram aqui no Brasil, e sabe o momento tão triste que vivemos neste momento que passa a população brasileira. E o que precisa ser feito? Nós precisamos organizar os comitês Lula 2022. E eu tenho certeza que isso vai se espalhar por todas as cidades, tanto do Canadá como dos Estados Unidos, onde tem brasileiras e brasileiros. E nós já estamos organizando isso pelo mundo afora. A minha ida agora, inclusive, ao Reino Unido, foi justamente para organizar esses comitês populares em todo o Reino Unido. Vamos buscar que a gente aumente a possibilidade de brasileiras e brasileiros para que possa votar numa candidatura que tem compromisso, principalmente com a população mais pobre, com os indígenas, com o setorial de pessoas que hoje participam do LGBTI+, com negros e negras, com as mulheres. Esse é o Brasil que nós queremos, o Brasil de todas e de todos. E quero dizer para vocês, há uma possibilidade real da gente voltar a governar o país. As pesquisas de hoje, se acontecesse a eleição nesse momento do país, o presidente Lula poderia ser eleito no primeiro turno. Mas nós queremos buscar cada voto de mulher e de homem que tem compromisso com a democracia e com os direitos das pessoas que hoje lutam por um país melhor e por um mundo melhor. Então, estaremos à disposição na coordenação da campanha, principalmente nessa questão dos comitês internacionais pelo mundo, para que a gente possa organizar uma campanha que traga uma vitória do presidente Lula, principalmente daqueles brasileiros e brasileiras que hoje sofrem, na minha opinião, e eu tenho a oportunidade de estar viajando o mundo, consequências muito difíceis. Sejam jovens, sejam pessoas mais velhas ou não, mas nós precisamos ter um Brasil que a gente busque uma relação de relações mais bilaterais com os países pelo mundo e que, aonde tiver um brasileiro, aonde tiver uma brasileira, que respeite o papel que vocês cumprem em todo mundo. Então, eu queria deixar aqui um grande abraço e tenho certeza que, se depender de vocês, nas eleições de 2022, vocês vão dar uma vitória para o presidente Lula, tanto nos Estados Unidos como no Canadá. E, a partir do dia 6 de janeiro do ano que vem, nós vamos ter um país mais fraterno, com mais igualdade, mais em defesa da democracia e, com certeza, sendo respeitado pelo mundo afora, que, infelizmente, não é o que acontece agora. Um grande abraço e eu espero encontrar vocês, inclusive muitos de vocês, na posse do presidente Lula em janeiro do ano que vem. Um grande abraço e viva Lula, viva o Brasil. Eu tenho certeza que nós vamos obter uma vitória eleitoral. Um grande abraço a todas e a todos.
Thank you. So it's a great honor to have one of the representatives of the largest workers' party in the world. So to remind you all that this Lula campaign is a coalition. It's not just the Workers' Party, but there's several. There is the PSOL, the Party for Socialism and Liberation. There's also the Green. There's so many parties that I cannot think of all of them, but especially the left-oriented. So talking about the left parties, we'll also bring here a representative of a party that has really honored us. There are two parties here that will have to give you us welcome to our struggle. And so I'd like to call Kate Princer to represent PSL, the Party for Socialism and Liberation, who is here. It's a national party acting all over the U.S. And so every time we ask for PSLs to help us, they are always there. So welcome, Kay. So if you need translation, please get your...
If you need translation...
Hi, everyone.
At the bottom, yeah, there.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kate Pritzker. I'm
Olá a todos.
Party for Socialism Liberation. It's a revolutionary. Thank you for putting this on because obviously this is a really consequential election, not just for Brazil, not just for Latin America, but for this whole hemisphere. And the ones calling for the U.S. to attack Venezuela, to attack Cuba, to attack Lula, to attack all the people of Latin America, these are the same people that are calling for cuts to our health care, for cuts to education, for more money to the cops and military. So, we don't see ourselves as separate from your struggle. We see this as one struggle. And of course, in the United States, we're fighting the far right. Just like Brazilians are fighting the far right, we're fighting the far right.
Então, nos Estados Unidos, a gente também está vendo essa luta contra a extrema-direita. É um problema global contra os inimigos comuns da direita extrema. E eu acho que
thank you from the deepest parts of my heart. Thank you from the Party for Socialism and Liberation, and we stand beside you, ready to fight for your movement. Thank you so much for everything you're doing.
It's an honor to have e outros membros do PSL que também estão aqui. Agora nós gostaríamos de ter um vídeo.
All the way from Brasil. A gente recebeu esse vídeo do Brasil, mensagens carinhosas de ativistas, de grandes ativistas brasileiras, com vocês, a deputada estadual pelo PSOL,
So the representative from the state of Pernambuco, Robiance Lima, who is also a candidate for federal representative.
Gente, eu sou a Robiance Lima, sou pré-candidata a deputada federal pelo PSOL aqui em Pernambuco. Queria saudar o Comitê Lula aí nos Estados Unidos, em Nova York, Nova Jersey e Pensilvânia, e dizer da importância da comunidade internacional de estar ajudando aqui o Brasil a eleger o presidente Lula, né? A gente precisa ter essa nova democracia, esse retorno do nosso presidente legítimo. Precisamos e contamos com o apoio de vocês aí nos Estados Unidos para que a gente possa derrotar o fascismo, derrotar o patriarcado, o machismo, a misoginia e colocar não somente o presidente Lula no poder, mas a gente transformar o Congresso Nacional e colocar mais mulheres e mulheres negras, travestis, dentro da Câmara dos Deputados e do Senado também. Um grande beijo daqui de Recife e nos vemos em breve com a posse do presidente Lula em 2023. Um abraço.
First trans black woman elected for a Congress in
Brazil. So now it's an honor, é uma honra receber José de la Luz. José é do National Political Committee Coordinator, National Political Coordinator of the Democratic Socialists of America. Welcome, José. Que prazer. José, welcome tonight to give us this energy to elect Lula.
Companheiras, companheiros, agora, mais que nunca, a luta continua.
The struggle continues.
The struggle of the international working class knows
Now the international working class knows no borders.
victory for the Brazilian working class is a victory for all workers, not only in the Americas, but around the world. That is why there is nothing more important than to make sure we do not leave anything unturned, to make sure that there is a great mobilization of the Brazilian diaspora, because we have learned that all of the diaspora in this country can make a fundamental and decisive contribution to the Latin American revolution, and Brazil will not be an exception. I have the opportunity to meet Comrade Luis Ignacio Lula da Silva many, many years ago, when I was invited to bring a group of trade unionists to meet with another important comrade in the struggle for democracy and the struggle for socialism in Brazil, Paulo Freire. Paulo Freire invited us when he was Secretary of Education in Sao Paulo to participate in direct conversations with many of the worker education institutes across Brazil that have been organized by the CUT and by the PT. And we understood in our exchanges and in our dialogues with our comrades in Brazil the fundamental importance of formación, of political education. We cannot have a revolutionary movement if we do not have a revolutionary theory. That is why we are committed to develop this principle of international solidarity by making sure that American workers, that the multiracial working class in America has the opportunity to learn firsthand what goes on in Brazil. And in that spirit, recently on May Day, we took a delegation of leaders from Democratic Socialists of America to celebrate May Day with Lula in Sao Paulo. And you can rest assured that we will have a delegation of international observers to see and oversee the elections. In fact, right here last night, we had a meeting with some comrades from Podemos in Spain. The Minister of Equality, Irene Montero, was here in this room meeting with us, and we agreed that we both will have a delegation to see the elections in October, because that is a basic responsibility of all comrades that believe in international socialism for the working class. And finally, comrades, let me say this. There is nothing more important for the international working class, not only the Latin American working class, than to defeat fascism in Brazil, to put an end to fascism in Brazil. Con el fascismo no se brinca.
Com o fascismo não se brinca.
And we are equally committed
Estamos
to
igualmente
bury
comprometidos
fascism in America.
enterrar o fascismo na América.
Because if people have not been paying attention to what is going on in this country, they have been living in another space, if you know what I mean. Because there is a real imminent threat in this country, and it has a name: fascism. Fascism. I don't call it Trumpism. I call it fascism. And it has roots in white supremacy. And it goes back to the origins and the foundations of this country as a white republic. A white republic on the backs of enslaved African plantation workers and the First Nations that were the victims of genocide as a result of colonial and settlement capitalism. That is the real history of this country. That is the history that we have got to make sure people know about. We have got to fight for history to be known. So, comrades, compañeras, compañeros, la victoria de Brasil será una victoria para la clase obrera internacional. Lula vive y será el próximo presidente de Brasil. La lucha continúa. La lucha. A luta. A luta. A luta. Obrigado. Boa noite.
Muito obrigado, companheiro José da Luz. Estamos contigo. Falando em luta boricua.
Vamos chamar agora.
We're going to call now. I have to call PCO's member. So the Workers' Party,
No, but we can't say that we want Lula for president today. If we say we want Lula for president, we can be accused of campaigning before we are allowed to campaign. The Supreme Court created an absurd new law. Campaigns for elections this year can only start on August 16. We are voting in the beginning of October. Brazil is a huge country. This schedule makes it really hard for any candidate to meet and speak with the Brazilian people in all regions. We need to mobilize everyone if we want democratic elections. And those candidates who are backed by the capitalist press oligopoly, like Globo and CNN, will have a huge advantage. They certainly won't support Lula. They will support Bolsonaro or a third candidate. We can't campaign for Lula, but the capitalist press campaign against Lula has already started. We are Brazilian citizens, and if we lived in a democratic society, we would be allowed to say we want Lula for president at any time. Today, we start a new committee, waiting for the time we can say we want Lula for president. The same Supreme Court that created this absurd law about campaign schedule is persecuting my political party in Brazil. Partido da Causa Operária, PSOL, in English, the Workers' Cause Party, a revolutionary communist party in Brazil that supports Lula, has its press now censored. Twitter, YouTube, Telegram, all the accounts are suspended. A leftist political party in Brazil is being censored during this election year. One, for criticizing a Supreme Court judge, Alexandre de Moraes, who, by the way, is going to overlook the elections this year. And 2, for having many opinions that don't align with the ones allowed. We are included in the fake news inquiry, which is a sort of ministry of truth in Brazil. Some of us, besides being censored, can be arrested. Our party could lose our license. The methods of this inquiry seem worse than Lava Jato, that arrested Lula. We ask for your collaboration to send a message in support of free speech in our party. Please let me know if you want to participate by signing a written message or go to pco.org.br. We are also campaigning for the freedom of Julian Assange, who, as most people here should know, is a journalist being persecuted for denouncing imperialist war crimes, and corruption. If we don't have free speech, we don't have democracy. We are living with fascism and a deepening dictatorship of a so-called democratic system. The same people that supported Dilma's coup in 2016, who conspired to arrest Lula in lawfare in 2018 and elected Bolsonaro with the help of the United States, and those are documented facts, not my opinion, that the US directed the lawfare that persecuted Lula. Those same people are trying to stop Lula from being elected again this year. We will fight them with all our strength. We know class struggle is a life or death struggle. With the NATO war against Russia, the offensive propaganda against China, Venezuela, Cuba, Honduras, Nicaragua, Iran, Palestine, and many other countries, with everything that is going on in the world right now, what happens in Brazil this year is hugely important. They are privatizing our oil company, Petrobras, selling our water-produced energy system for cheap, Eletrobras. Our people are hungry, and there is a campaign to suggest that the Amazon should be controlled by international organs. Brazilian people should decide how the Amazon is preserved and explored. The Amazon, our oil, our energy, our riches, and territory belong to us, belong to Brazil and its people. Lula is the best chance we have to fight for Brazilian sovereignty. I'm very happy to be with you all in this fight. Thank you.
Thank you. Obrigada. Bem, gente, agora vamos assistir mais um vídeo também enviado com muito carinho para nós, desta vez, da Central Única.
The main union of Brazil, the center union of workers of Brazil. So now we can hear Antônio Lisboa, who's General Secretary of International Relations of the main union of Brazil.
Olá, companheiros e companheiras, brasileiros e brasileiras que estão em Nova York, companheiros do DSA. Eu estou passando aqui muito rapidamente para cumprimentar a todos vocês pela iniciativa de lançar nesse momento o Comitê Popular de Luta de Nova York. Nós tivemos nos últimos anos uma campanha duríssima e vitoriosa, que foi a campanha pela liberdade do companheiro presidente Lula. E agora que o companheiro presidente Lula está livre, nós vamos transformar com a mesma energia a campanha Lula livre na campanha Lula presidente. Esse é o nosso próximo desafio, com o apoio do povo brasileiro, com o apoio dos brasileiros e brasileiras que estão aí em Nova York e também espalhados pelo mundo inteiro, com o apoio dos movimentos sociais, dos partidos parceiros, como é o caso do DSA. Então a gente tem agora, nesses próximos 100 dias, 100 e poucos dias, uma enorme tarefa, um enorme desafio, que é o desafio, como disse, de eleger novamente o Lula presidente do Brasil, para que o Brasil seja resgatado para o seu povo e a gente possa mandar de volta para o esgoto da história os fascistas aqui no Brasil. Eu quero mais uma vez agradecer, parabenizar e dizer que essa nossa luta ela é muito dura, mas certamente ela será vitoriosa e nós iremos comemorar a partir do dia 1º de janeiro de 2023, uma nova vitória do povo trabalhador brasileiro, uma nova vitória da esquerda do Brasil, da esquerda global. Um grande abraço, sucesso aí para vocês, estamos juntos.
Invite Jana Silverman. Jana will be in name of the U.S. Network for Democracy in Brazil. She's also part of the DSA and the Popular Committee. This will be very quick because we are expecting the U.S. network would also have another person to be the national coordinator. But at the moment, she's traveling in Brazil. She's in São Paulo, so we couldn't have her be part of this. But I just want to say that the U.S. Network for Democracy in Brazil is a network that has two dozens of organizations, more than 1,000 activists and academics, intellectuals, union members all over the U.S. that have joined together in December 2018, after the election, not after Dilma, but after the election of Bolsonaro, to do this historic election. And it has been a very hard task. We have done a lot of activities in the universities to do political education, as well with the young people, as well as the intellectuals, to talk about the truth of what's behind the coup in Brazil and the role of big media. And we also have done, at the beginning of the event, the connection to support the activities that have, or the initiatives of the Brazilian organizations abroad to have Lula be freed. And also we have started to do lobbying and advocacy in Washington with the representatives there, because if we think it's just about votes, Lula will win and will be in the first round, because Brazilians are also starting to wake up that Bolsonaro is a disaster, misery, unemployment, it is death, it's hunger. So there's no other fake news that can still reinvent the story, because Brazilians who have also have had Brazil in our hearts, or have families there, or have friends there, we know how much they've been suffering from this other pandemic of unemployment and hunger. So if it's just a matter of winning the ballot, we believe that this is pretty much won. Of course, we have some time, but I think we're going well in that regard. But I think the problem will be that Bolsonaro won't respect the result of the elections. So 6th January that we saw here last year, it will be little compared to the military and the military police and also militia that have been supporting Bolsonaro. But what we can do here with the U.S. Network in Democracy in Brazil, and that whether we want it or not, Brazil, the U.S. politics here also have huge weight on Brazilian politics, is that we can guarantee that Biden's government will recognize Lula immediately as soon as he gets elected. So that will signal there will be no political space for that kind of adventure by Bolsonaro and his supporters. So this will be a task. We want everybody who's engaging, especially the non-Brazilians, who cannot participate directly in the elections, or that in terms of elections or campaign, they can be also mobilized and can tell all of our friends and all activist networks in the states to be mobilized in case there is a huge hole in Brazilian democracy. So I just want to end here. I have a lot of hope. It is a long night of fascism is over. It's getting to the end. Free Lula and Lula president. Very good. We have a very special video now. You'll see many Brazilians will be very emotional about this one, to see this amazing man who's going to speak now. But I am talking about, from São Paulo, a young person of 81 years old who is a council member in São Paulo, and he was also the federal representative, and he was also a senator, and he's a big fighter for the minimum basic income. With you, Eduardo Suplicy.
Hello, I would like to compliment all of you who are now organizing the Brazilian Popular Committee for the 2022 elections for president and to take our Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva to become a president again, and to institute in Brazil all the institutions of economic policy that may elevate the degree of social justice in our country that is so urgent today, including the citizens' basic income that in brief will become universal and unconditional to all Brazilians. So, a great abraço, beijão a todas vocês. Felicidade. Kisses to all.
Eduardo Suplicy, thank you very much for his great message. I also would like to call now a person from the U.S., Elizabeth Castaneda Sanchez. I think they're running a little late because they had a meeting with Colombia's new president and vice president. We'll come back to them. So new video, the next video, yeah, because they're late. So this is another representative from Minas Gerais state, and he's a historian. He's a great representative. He has also sent us his video.
Companheirada de Nova Jersey, Nova York, Pensilvânia, eu sou Rogério Correia, deputado federal pelo Partido dos Trabalhadores das Minas Gerais. Parabenizá-los, viu, pela formação do Comitê Popular. Vocês são muito importantes aí nos Estados Unidos para fazer a denúncia do fascismo aqui no Brasil. Nós estamos com uma expectativa muito grande do Lula ganhar no primeiro turno. E, com certeza, o movimento de vocês vai nos ajudar. Grande abraço a todos, sempre na luta. Agora é Lula, Lula 2022.
So now we can put the music. Yeah. Sorry, but now we have to jump.
This one?
Yeah.
Quero tanto ter alguém que sinta a dor da gente, que veja em meu olhar retrato desse meu Brasil. Porque em todo canto todo mundo pede por mais esperança. A gente tem uma fé que não cansa e continua acesa. Pense bem no que viu e no que virá.
And you can think about how much it's going to be, the struggle. So here, we would like to call our Colombian friend is not here yet. We also have received this other video by Marcia Tiburi, who is a philosopher. She's a professor. She was a candidate of governor of Rio, and she has sent the video from France. If you don't know her, she's a political figure. She was persecuted by Bolsonaro and by his supporters, and she had to leave because of death threats. And so we are honored to have had Marcia here in the US, here in New York, here in People's Forum, as well as in the Cancel Bolsonaro Coalition and for the Freedom of Lula. So here we have Marcia Tiburi's message.
Olá, que alegria ver o Comitê Popular Lula de Nova Jersey, Nova York, Pensilvânia nascendo. Que alegria ver a comunidade que está nos Estados Unidos e pelo mundo afora, a comunidade brasileira lutando contra o fascismo. Nesse momento, eleger Lula é absolutamente essencial e importante. Toda a democracia que há de vir para o nosso país depende dessa eleição. E essa democracia que há de vir será uma democracia radical, em que as mulheres, as pessoas LGBTQIA+, em que as pessoas indígenas, as pessoas marcadas pelos preconceitos raciais, serão vencedoras, serão parte fundamental da construção, da reconstrução desse país que a gente precisa reinaugurar em novos moldes. Então, muita alegria, felicidades para vocês, sigamos na luta. Estou sempre com vocês, admirando muito a ação dos ativistas nos Estados Unidos, dos ativistas brasileiros que não cansam nunca de lutar pelo nosso país. Um grande abraço e muitas felicidades e sigamos em frente em 2022 nessa luta que vai ser muito suada, mas que nos dá sempre muita dignidade e a gente segue em frente. Um beijo.
So she's a big influencer in the media, left media. So right now I wanted to ask a very good comrade who is part of the committee of New Jersey, not New York and Pennsylvania. I'll call here Fernando, who is a Brazilian immigrant and part of the struggle in New Jersey, and as well as a member of the committee, he's also a member of DSA, the Democrat Socialists of Americas. He's the coordinator of the International and Community and Analysis. We're very honored to have you here. Hi, everyone. I'll be very brief. But first, I'm very happy to be here. If it were 5 years ago, I wouldn't think that I would have a group of Brazilians here looking, there are lefties. It's something that for me was, I couldn't have imagined. We're here, I'm from New Jersey. There's about 30,000 Brazilians in New Jersey. And we know how the big media is already doing their campaign. And so to have these Brazilians here and allies doing this campaign, it is very important. So I'm very happy to be here. This struggle is a very important one. I am a militant of DSA for some time already. We also act a lot in the community there in New Jersey. And so I'm very happy to be here. And something that I would like to say very briefly as well is that especially for us who are in the militancy here in the US, the activism, we have gone through very hard times in the world here with the workers class in Brazil, hunger and the pandemic that has been very hard. We have people that have nothing to eat or have no jobs and are suffering with inflation. And here in the US, the cost of gas has made people's lives very difficult. And I think the comrades of Latin America, and in Colombia and Chile, we had examples of going through these very hard moments so we can hear their voices in the ballot. And they're electing progressive governments. And so they're fighting. And so Brazil, I'm sure, it will be the next one. And this will be a lesson for all of us. It means that our militancy, we also have a lesson to learn from Latin America, that we can also change our situations here in the United States. And it's in our hands. I think we have to grab this opportunity and win. So Lula president, and our victory here as well. Thank you, Fernando. Here's our front lines in New Jersey. And here with you, we also have a video with a great comrade from us who is doing a beautiful campaign. He's from São Paulo. I'm talking about Douglas Belchior, one of the biggest leaders of the Black movement in Brazil. He's been here with us several times in New York and here at the People's Forum, in the struggle, in the organization of the Black people, the Brazilian Black people here and of the US. Douglas Belchior, he changed parties to the Workers' Party this year, and he's a strong candidate of being a federal representative for São Paulo State. And so we also have our master. He's our mentor, and he's our professor, and great friend and comrade. He's super tired. As you can see, he stopped to do this video for us because he's a great friend. He's our brother, our dear Douglas.
Oi, pessoal, eu sou Douglas Belchior, militante do Movimento Negro, da UNEAFRO, da Coalizão Negra por Direitos aqui no Brasil. O mundo acompanha com muita preocupação o processo eleitoral aqui no nosso país. As forças que defendem direitos humanos têm uma tarefa muito difícil, que é derrotar o protofascismo que se instalou no Estado brasileiro a partir da eleição que elegeu Bolsonaro. Bolsonaro representa tudo de mais atrasado e violento, representa violência contra povos originários, povos indígenas, população quilombola, mulheres, LGBTQIA+, pessoas negras. Tudo o que nós rejeitamos, Bolsonaro faz questão de promover em seu governo. Por isso é muito importante a mobilização de todos aqueles que defendem direitos humanos em todo o mundo. E eu quero aqui agradecer e saudar a fundação, a formação do Comitê Popular de Luta de Nova York, Nova Jersey e Pensilvânia. É muito importante mobilizar brasileiros e brasileiras no mundo inteiro e que esses nossos irmãos mobilizem a opinião pública internacional e que nos ajude, acompanhe o processo eleitoral, o processo político, porque nós estamos em risco. Mesmo que Lula ganhe as eleições, há uma tendência em que o Bolsonaro e o seu governo rejeitem os resultados das eleições e repitam aquilo que o Trump fez nos Estados Unidos, que inclusive mobilize forças armadas, conservadoras, paramilitares para um possível golpe de Estado. Por isso é tão importante a mobilização de brasileiros, brasileiras e de todas as pessoas que defendem direitos humanos em todo o mundo. Parabéns, muito obrigado aos companheiros que hoje fundam o Comitê Popular de Luta em Nova York, Nova Jersey e Pensilvânia, aí nos Estados Unidos da América. Abraço.
we also have struggle. We are very happy. Who is not here? Marcus, who's also been here in the People's Forum, who has been also part of the struggle here. So I will call our companheira, our dear Elizabeth Castaneda Sanchez, who is a leader, activist, coordinator of the campaign for Gustavo Petro here in the US. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to everybody who has. We're very happy, we're very emotional, and we think that this is a moment in which Latin America will be here, have a sea of governments for the people. And that means justice for all the peoples, racial justice, gender justice, ecological justice, indigenous justice, and so that the American continent is not behind the US anymore, but it's also our own backyard, not the backyard of the US, where we can all have a hand, that Guatemala can count, and Brazil, which is this big country that has given many times the example to follow, that will have a progressive government, that will have a government of the people. So I believe that has been extremely important, my experience, to do the campaign for Francia Marquez and for Gustavo Petro. And I think finally, for us Colombians, we can say that we didn't stop short. We didn't betray our own people and our own brothers and sisters, and that we can think about this moment, and that we can think that it was not a country that dedicated itself only to war, but it also is very diverse. A country that has the second population, the largest Black population of Latin America, and that had excluded this population on purpose. And now we have the vice president, who is a woman and a Black woman, feminist, a woman who understands this. So I feel very proud to have been part of this campaign, especially because it shows Latin America as it is. It has shown how it is indigenous, how it is Black. As I can say that my father was Afro-Colombian, so I'm very proud of that. And I have helped also to elect the first Afro-Colombian to the government. So we believe that she will be the next president of Colombia. And this, since it's so emotional to Colombia, we want to say we understand the responsibility that this implies, and that we are celebrating at this moment, but we're not naive, and we know that we need to defend our vote, and we have to defend also Latin America. That we have also have talked this, yes. And we can also call our Ecuadorian friends that have been also going through a very difficult time. And so I think we are allied one to another, and that we also conduct each other as equals in this importance, in this brotherhood and sisterhood, that we can think about how we are close together. And more than fighting against, we are one continent of brothers. We can all be united for all the diversity that we have, indigenous, of gender, of race, and that all the forms that we cross each other, and all the languages that we think about that crosses, and all the kinds of music, and also the beings that we all share on both sides, we have to make this be worthwhile, all that diversity above everything else, and that we have, and our differences we can have to be the continent that we want to be. Thank you. And the next one is Brazil, okay? With Lula. So right now, we will watch the last two videos. Yes. Yes. First, the pastor Henrique Vieira has sent us also a great word. He is also evangelical pastor. He has shown the gospel. He has taken the real gospel of Jesus, and he's a huge activist of human rights. He has sent us this video for us, for the Friends of New York and New Jersey.
Olá, sou o pastor Henrique Vieira e quero saudar o Comitê de Apoio ao Lula em Nova York. É isso mesmo, brasileiros e brasileiras no mundo inteiro, porque é uma decisão fundamental defender a democracia nesse país e derrotar Bolsonaro. Parabéns por essa iniciativa, é uma corrente internacional para defender a democracia e impedir o caos. Fraterno abraço, estamos juntos.
It's very popular in Brazil right now, and there's also vintage T-shirts. So please, if you can, cooperate so we can also fundraise a little bit to do a huge campaign for Lula. So the collective has sent us the Dimas professor word, and who is a leader, who's also a candidate for state representative, so we couldn't leave them out. So here is Dimas, great fighter, and he's also a capoeira fighter.
Olá, eu sou o professor Dimas, pré-candidato a deputado estadual pelo Partido dos Trabalhadores em Minas Gerais. É muito bom saber que nos Estados Unidos as pessoas estão se mobilizando para que nós possamos juntos derrotar o fascismo aqui no Brasil e no mundo, né? Porque eles estão espalhados por toda a parte e nós vamos vencê-los. E juntos, aquele abraço a todos vocês.
A representante do nosso coletivo Defende Democracy Brasil, grande impulsionador desse comitê, da USNDB. Eu chamo aqui com vocês Natália de Campos, que está aí na produção e na tradução.
Deste coletivo que está há 6 anos na luta, na resistência, com muitos membros aqui, inclusive. Natália de Campos, a palavra é sua e é Lula, querida.
This is my big companheira. This is my cara metade. She's my other half. We say we are complementary. Miriam Marques is also a member of Defend Democracy in Brazil. I'm very happy to be here. I'm very happy that everybody contributed to this today. And I think it's a very important moment. We're also live streaming, so it's very important that we register this moment and that we have, people follow from the amazing People's Forum, all the followers. I also know some of you who are my students. I teach Portuguese through the People's Forum, and I'm very grateful for this space. I have met amazing students. Some are here, and thank you for coming. And I also have Neo over there and Claire, and I'm very happy to see everybody. And it's important because in also the classes, I just want to mention this quickly, we hear about the stories of Lula and Paulo Freire and how everything has come apart back in the day, like in the dictatorship in the 60s, and then again, you know, same forces, same movements trying to dismantle the workers' movements in Brazil, as well as the rights of the people that have risen. And we are part of Defend Democracy in Brazil. We founded the group here in 2016, just before Dilma Rousseff was impeached illegally. And it's been like a non-stop journey. Toya is part of this journey, Adriana. We have so many people who are supporters and part of this. And it is really a non-stop journey. And we think like, wow, now we're gonna have a break, and we never have a break, right? It's really, really emotional. And right now, I think because we had so much support here from the People's Forum, which is an amazing incubator of movements. If you're not a member, do become a member, do look for the classes and so on and join. Because without them, we wouldn't have had this strength to keep going and to do, you know, the Free Lula campaign and so many other campaigns that we have had. And right now, as we all know, we are getting together to gear up. So if you haven't joined the committee, we have these QR codes all over here, so you can scan and you can join our committee. The official campaign by electoral law starts on August 16. And from then on, we can definitely, you know, get everybody the vote out, the word of the vote. Until then, we are organizing and we are getting people more interested in the fight. So please do spread the word. And I want to salute again also people in Brazil who have been supporting us and send all videos from all over. And we cannot forget, you know, who is at the forefront and those that have been the most affected. And we have joined together to solidarity campaigns with the Black people, especially we're huge partners of the Black Coalition for Rights, the indigenous delegations that have come. And in September, I wait for all of you to go after protests that we're going to be organizing against Bolsonaro at the UN, which is the General Assembly in September. So we can all vote from here. So Brazilians who have registered up to May 1st, and people who are, so just so you, if you don't know, if you know Brazilians who have not registered to vote, but they vote in Brazil, they can, during July and August, apply for transit vote. So they can still try to vote from abroad. Thank you.
Ulala, Natália, grande lutadora. Obrigado, Natália. Bem, gente, nesse momento, eu gostaria de continuar agradecendo a todos vocês e nós vamos ter, então, 10 a 15 minutos de open mic, microfone aberto, para quem quiser vir aqui, mandar seu recado, falar que é Lula, chamar uma coisa, porque aí depois a gente vai fazer...
People to join together with you, or if you have any announcements, we have a few moments of music. Then after that, so we have open mic. Is there anybody wants to come and talk? Everybody wants to send a message? Isabella, who's from Belo Horizonte. I'm very happy to be here. I don't live here in the US. I have been here just for a few months, and I'm going back to Brazil next week. And I have to say that Brazilians, the young Brazilians, are not very engaged in the fight, and I think that's a problem. I think we have done a lot this year to try to get young people to vote, because we didn't have many enrolled to vote. So I think it's very important to see these political movements, especially with a lot more presence than many in Brazil, with a lot more access. So it's very nice to see this, and it inspires us to bring it back to Brazil and to get many other people engaged. So thank you very much. And Lula, let's go, and Bolsonaro out. So now to our comrade.
Boa noite. Eu salvo
We're distance of.
Entonces nosotros somos también parte de Venceremos Brigade, la brigada Venceremos.
We have met in Cuba in the 50th anniversary of Venceremos. I'm Boricua and I'm from Brooklyn. He's from Queens. We support Lula. We saw in Cuba all the materials supporting free Lula. So we want to send our feelings out and tímido. I want to say I didn't think I was going to speak because I drank a lot of beer. But it's good that I say because because I don't do the homework because of capitalism reasons.
Yeah, we support Lula, as the Venceremos Brigade. I was actually in Cuba in May, for May 1st, for International Workers' Day. And I saw that there was a lot of support for Lula. And, more than anything else, as we see this shift happening in Latin America, in the continent, as we saw right now in my beloved Colombia, which I was blown away. I was surprised. I think everybody was surprised with the election win of Gustavo Petro and Francia Marquez, that anything is possible, and that we need to be all the way behind as the comrade from the DSA. I forgot his name was the brother. He was also Boricua too, Yeah, we have to say free Puerto Rico. But I was gonna say, I love how he said that, defeat in Brazil. I mean, the victory in Brazil is gonna be a defeat for fascism, not just in Brazil, but in all the continent, in all the hemisphere. Just the way what happened in Colombia, defeat against that narco-fascist regime that we've had for over 20 years because of the United States. It's a win for the whole continent. So this is why we have to support Lula. This is why we have to support the Brazilian people at this time. And more than anything else, as us, that we're part of a brigade that support Cuba, revolutionary Cuba, that has been blockaded for over 60 years because they took another path away from United States imperialism. This helps out Cuba, this helps out Venezuela, this helps out Nicaragua, the Troika of Resistance, which I'm a part of a collective called Troika Collective. This is why I have to make that shout out right there. But anyways, we all are in support of Lula. Lula Presidente, fora Bolsonaro, hasta la victoria siempre. Venceremos.
Since he's doing an announcement, I'm going to do another one. July 3rd is the 40th anniversary of Mumia in jail. So we're asking folks, do a selfie, free Mumia, and share it. I don't do social media, but you can share that. And also, there's a new group that's in formation, and we announced it a couple of days ago, Radical Elders. So if you go online, you look at radical-elders.net, and you'll see what we're about. It's still in formation, but there's a lot of good folks in that group, and we ask you all to just join in the effort.
Wait, Ramon, you forgot one last thing. You're Boricua, so we got to say, que viva Puerto Rico libre.
Que viva.
Que honra nossos companheiros aqui da América Latina.
What an honor to see our friends from Colombia and Puerto Rico. So we still have an open mic moment for anybody who wants to say, qualquer pessoa que quiser falar alguma coisa, para ganhar os votos em Nova York, que é Nova York, Nova Jersey e Pensilvânia, na verdade.
They closed the urna em New York. Lula!
A gente quer ouvir a Lula 60%, 60% a 70% aqui. 85%, beleza. Anybody else wants to speak? So quickly, we're almost there. We're almost getting to the music, to have a happy hour and beer. But first, I would like to say, if you haven't joined the group, so junte-se, so join us and join us, buy something in the store and so on. And the more we have, and we'll be closer to win in the ballot box as we wish. And so we can also help our friends from Texas and Boston and Florida. There's a lot of struggle for us to win. So more or less, I want to say the calendar of struggle. So sometimes people don't know what to do, or they can say, oh, I don't have time. So there's everything for you to do. We have already been doing the digital battle, which is to keep upkeep the media, social media, and tweeters and so on, emails, and also the visual battle, which is to find walls to paint and places where we can put wheat paste, posters, and so there's friends who are already working in the art, and also strategic places where people go to get the train. We put the towels. Also, we have stickers. We're also going to start making our own T-shirts and also flyering in parties, especially in the summer. The next one, I want to announce, Ney Mato Grosso will be at the summer stage on the 17th of July, as we were last Sunday in the Monobloco concert. And so the next meeting will be on Thursday. On the 14th, we'll have a Zoom meeting. We'll also call everybody who wants to join. We'll also go to the beach with the towels of Lula. And we also media work in talking about the news and following the news in Brazil, monitor the media against that is, so we cannot allow that Lula's name be damned, or that the capitalist people come and say all these horrible things about the governments that he presided over. And so we will also find spots to put interviews and get leadership from the parties to go to the media. And there's also finance committee that we already have a bank account, and we also have started to get funds. And so we also want to invite you, everybody, the 14th of July. So then if you join, you know that it doesn't stop in the backstage. So very well. And now we will want to go to the next video. Yeah, so we can start this one. He didn't
Muito obrigada a todos vocês que vieram aqui nessa noite maravilhosa. 1º de julho vai ficar marcado por esse lindo encontro.
So the 1st of July will be marked by these great meetings, and the beginning of 90 days non-stop will be out, because we're going to turn the vote of the Bolsonaro supporters and the workers class that has not been seeing how much they have supported the person who has supported Trump. And so we will turn the ballots in New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania, and maybe the whole United States. It's dependent upon us. Thank you for being here.
Vem de dentro, eu sei, de novo sentimento.
Por muito tempo esperei e o coração segue pulsando, sem medo de ser feliz.
Há uma voz que se apagar.
E o brilho ilumina a esperança. Com fé no futuro melhor eu vou. Sem medo de ser feliz. Quero ver chegar. Lula lá, brilha nossa estrela. Lula lá, renasce a esperança. Lula lá, o Brasil criança. Na alegria de se abraçar. Lula lá, com dignidade. Lula lá, o Brasil merece outra vez oportunidade pra sorrir e brilha nossa estrela. Lula lá, brilha nossa estrela. Lula lá, renasce a esperança. Lula lá, o Brasil criança. Na alegria de se abraçar. Lula lá, com dignidade. Lula lá, o Brasil merece outra vez oportunidade pra sorrir e brilha nossa estrela. Lula lá, brilha nossa estrela. Lula lá, renasce a esperança. Lula lá, o Brasil criança. Na alegria de se abraçar. Lula lá, com dignidade. Lula lá, o Brasil merece outra vez oportunidade pra sorrir e brilha nossa estrela.
É isso aí, meu Brasil! Agora eu quero é Lula